What if the US dollar, the backbone of the global economy for decades, suddenly lost its power? Could China actually dethrone the dollar and reshape world trade? And why are countries around the globe dumping US bonds while stockpiling gold at record speed? These are not just questions, they are signs of a massive financial shift already underway. Today, we're diving deep into the story of how America's financial dominance is slipping away, and how China is positioning itself to take the lead. Friends, the global economy is standing at one of the most dangerous crossroads in modern history. For decades, the US dollar has reigned supreme as the world's strongest reserve currency. It was the backbone of global trade, the benchmark for energy markets, and the ultimate safe haven in times of crisis. But today, that era of absolute dominance is starting to crumble. The dollar is losing its power, and the world is quietly shifting away from it. Across continents, countries are increasingly trading with each other, not in dollars, but in their own local currencies. From oil to technology, from raw materials to consumer goods. International transactions are being settled without the greenback. And who is the biggest driver of this historic shift? None other than China. For decades, China dreamed of dethroning the dollar. And now, step by step, it is turning that dream into a living reality. In just a few short years, Beijing has succeeded in moving nearly 30% of its trade away from the dollar and into its own currency, the renminbi RMB. Even more striking, when we look at global international payments, the RMB's share has already crossed 50%. This is no longer a small-scale experiment. It's a tectonic shift in the way the world conducts business. Meanwhile, the United States is weakening on multiple fronts. The aggressive trade war launched under Trump has backfired in unexpected ways. American exports have become more expensive, and imports into the US have been restricted. Instead of strengthening the US economy, this strategy has reduced the demand for American goods and, most importantly, for the dollar itself. The numbers tell a chilling story. In the first 6 months of 2025 alone, the dollar index dropped by a staggering 11%, the steepest decline since 1973. This isn't just a temporary dip. It is a signal that global trust in the dollar is fading fast. Central banks across the world are taking bold action. They are no longer blindly holding on to US Treasury bonds. Instead, they are selling them off and replacing them with one of the oldest and most trusted assets in history: gold. Why? Because after Washington froze Russia's overseas assets during the Ukraine conflict, nations realized a painful truth. The US dollar is no longer a politically neutral or safe investment. If it could happen to Russia, it could happen to anyone. This realization has sent shockwaves through the financial system. BRICS nations in particular, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are stockpiling gold at a pace never seen before. Their strategy is clear: reduce dependency on the dollar and strengthen their own financial sovereignty. At the same time, the United States itself is drowning in debt. The federal budget deficit has skyrocketed to an eye-watering $2 trillion. Washington is spending trillions of dollars it doesn't have, pumping liquidity into the system. But instead of strengthening the economy, this is fueling a vicious cycle. The dollar gets weaker, inflation gets higher, and ordinary Americans are paying the price in their daily lives. This brings us to the burning question that economists around the world are debating. Will the United States be forced to revalue its gold reserves? If Washington takes this step, it may get some short-term breathing space. A revaluation would artificially boost confidence in the US financial system. But at the same time, it would send a brutal message to the entire world that the mighty dollar has lost its natural strength and now needs artificial support to survive. And who would stand to benefit the most from such a move? The answer is obvious: China. Over the years, Beijing has quietly built up massive gold reserves. Thousands of tons, stored away as a shield against financial instability. If the US raises the official value of gold, China's reserves will automatically become more valuable, giving Beijing even greater economic leverage on the global stage. In short, if the US does revalue its gold, it might manage to buy some time, perhaps even stabilize the situation temporarily. But in the long run, the world will see through the strategy. America will be exposed as a power in decline, and it will eventually lose its economic war. So friends, the real questions now stand before us. Will the world continue dumping US bonds in favor of gold? Will central banks accelerate their shift toward alternative reserves? And most importantly, will the United States actually be forced to admit weakness and revalue its gold holdings? These are not just economic debates. They are decisions that will shape the future of global power. So, what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for the dollar's dominance? Or will America somehow find a way to fight back? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because the world is watching, and your perspective matters. And, if you found this analysis eye-opening, don't forget to like and subscribe. The times ahead are going to be decisive, and together, we will continue to explore the events that are shaping our future.